Hi everyone, here is Mark Anderson from Star Pictures Corporation. We have today Audrey Foo. Hi Audrey, thank you for coming here today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Audrey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Audrey Foo?
Hi, Mark. I'm from Malaysia and I studied engineering and I also worked in the IT field. I have a general interest in many subjects, including Feng Shui, which I would like to talk about today.
Interesting. So you mentioned that you are in different industries. Now you're studying Feng Shui. In which places of the world have you been studying Feng Shui? Or tell us a little bit.
I learned Feng Shui first when I took a course with Marlyna Los. She brought a teacher from Malaysia, Joey Yap, who is quite well known in Malaysia. And then I went to Malaysia to study with him as well. So I've taken courses with both Marlyna Los in Vancouver and Joey Yap in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. I was pleasantly surprised to see how accurate the system was. The different things that Joey Yap taught, including Feng Shui, which is for houses and offices. Bazi, which is for astrology. It helps people to know more about their personality traits and maybe what careers they're good for, what relationships they might be better in. And also Chimandunja, which is about date selection.
Wow, very interesting. How can you explain us what is Feng Shui exactly and how people can use in the regular life?
Yeah, Feng Shui, I find it as far as I know, it dates back maybe 4,000 years, the study of it, to the I Ching. And it's very interesting to see how it developed over time. But the main idea that I like to think about is that it's like a compass, like it just like in the ancient Chinese day, people talk about the Chinese using a compass first. There's north, south, west, east. The people would use that to direct themselves how to get home from if they're in a boat or if they're going about in the world. Well, Feng Shui is kind of like that, but it's for the house. So it can help direct you as to where to place your bedroom, your study, your kitchen, in order to obtain the best results to align with the magnetic forces of the earth.
So when people position themselves and they try to figure out how to put the things at home or how put yourself in relationship with the house or the architectural design, what else people can take advantage of Feng Shui? It is possible to go more deeper?
Yeah, there are actually many levels of many layers, so many people would say, of Feng Shui. Some people focus on health and happiness. Some people focus on wealth and status. You can generally improve your life. Some people would say, like Joey Yap has said, maybe 30% every year you can increase your finances if you use Feng Shui properly. And Marlyna too has seen dramatic increases into her income. So there are so many ways to use it. People use it to better understand the limitations of what houses, what sectors they might live in, and where they might want to study in, where they might want to attract romance. So it can be maybe they have an unruly child, and maybe they're sleeping in a bedroom that doesn't allow them rest, for example. So there are many applications for it.
How we can explain to the people how the Feng Shui works? I mean, we know that there is mysteries in life, but how Feng Shui works, or how we can approach Feng Shui from the scientific point of view, or spiritual if that's the case.
Yeah, the interesting thing about feng shui is that the way I see it is that it's like, the way I think about it is, to produce an electric current, you need to orient a magnet in a copper spiral in order to produce electricity. So the ancient Chinese philosophers and even the recent ones have done various studies to try to figure out, based on personal, testing with lots of millions of people, how to orient our lives in order to produce the results we want. You can use different feng shui techniques for long-term effect. Like, say you want to build an empire over a couple of generations, or you can use techniques that are more fast, that can give you results in a few months or less even. So there are different kinds of techniques for different purposes as to what you would like to achieve. And there's lots of ongoing study and debate to determine what the laws are and what their suitability for different people. The other part of feng shui that many people will study is Bazi. It's the understanding the personality of the person. So some people say that Bazi is, it helps you to diagnose what some of the issues are, and feng shui is the cure to help you overcome the issues.
Feng Shui, I guess, become very popular recently, but I hear in the news that Trump at some point used Feng Shui. Is that true?
Yeah, so he has an advisor for more than 20 years who helped him to improve. It seems like she met with developers of his buildings to help to give a better profile to him. So I remember reading some of Trump's books, and he talked about having a nice entranceway in his buildings. Like he normally has these really golden and huge hallways, and that's a very classical concept in feng shui. I'm sure the advisor used other techniques, but that's one of the very well-known techniques, is to have a nice entranceway inside the building and also outside the building to create a warm environment so that people want to gather there, and thus it makes your building more popular. Another thing to note is that a lot of North Americans may believe feng shui to be about the colors of objects and little objects that they place in their building, and that is considered more of a new age feng shui. It's not actually the kind of feng shui that I studied. That kind of feng shui, some people would say, only has maybe 10% effect, as opposed to the other kind of feng shui, which talks more about compass directions and and understanding the planet, the way, the changes that are made by planetary alignments over time.
I am Catholic in my religion, and some people that maybe take those kind of discoveries in life about how to predict stuff in life, or how to basically how to predict, they associate the prediction with evil. So what do you have to say? What do you have to say to all those people that they think that are very superstitious, let's say, at some point, and they associate maybe Feng Shui or different disciplines with things related, let's say, with evil? Or what do you think?
Personally, I don't think that I'm qualified to answer that, because I'm not a Catholic or a priest or pope or anything like that. I think as I have seen, the beliefs of the Church, Catholic Church, change over time. Originally they were not maybe so keen about Galileo's discoveries of the planetary alignments, and so to me, maybe there are people that are skeptical or hesitant about looking into feng shui, but I think that over time those attitudes will evolve based on understanding that it's not a study of gods or anything like that. That they do use the term gods, but it's more to do with the stars, the movement of planetary stars. It's just a word that was used that the people understood in the past.
In that sense, when we speak about stars, so probably we enter in the astrology subject. So what is the relationship between the astrology and Feng Shui? One belongs to another one, or is two different things? Because sometimes, astrology get that sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a underlying a lot of Chinese ancient scientific beliefs are the concept of 5 elements. Some people say that it's mislabeled as 5 elements. It should be instead called 5 phases or 5 systems. They are like wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, and they kind of move in a cyclical fashion. Like wood is like the birth and beginning of a plant or humankind when they're a kid. Fire is like when they start to grow into a teenager or they start to bloom. Earth is when they start to stabilize and they start to produce either children or careers or businesses. Metal is when they start to refine into becoming masters, and water is when they start to transition to death, basically. And so that's one of the simplistic explanations of the 5 phases, and it can be applied to anything, whether it's business or medicine. And so acupuncture also, studies the 5 phases. They use that to diagnose and treat people. In the same way, you can use it to help with your career or with your wealth, and to orient the items in your house. So there's a lot of different theory behind it. I'm not sure if I answered all of your questions, but that's some of the thoughts. And so anyway, the 5 phases, some say, are related to the planetary alignment of Saturn, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and they produce different magnetic fields or something similar to that, which affect humanity in different ways.
I remember one day when I went to the tarot to try to get the future. Can we tell the Feng Shui could tell us the future as well, or is the way we can control a little bit instead of seeing the future?
That's an excellent question. Joey Yap would say that we are not fortune tellers. Some people that study Feng Shui or Qigong Dunjia or might use it as a way of fortune telling, but currently the current thought is that it only accounts for 1/3. Feng Shui accounts for 1/3 of our so-called luck. 1/3 is based on the luck that we were born in. Like, we can tell people's characters when they're children. That's 1/3 of it, and 1/3 is the effort we make as mankind to put into changing our life. So when you're aware that, say, you have a tendency of being, say, short-tempered, you can put effort in to change your luck, then the outcome wouldn't be the same as before. So if there were no self-improvement classes or no psychology or no such subjects as there were in the past, then maybe fortune telling would be more accurate. But in today's day and age, we have the ability to have heart transplants, and so many self-development courses, so we can change our future.
Tell us a little bit about we went through the subject of the houses and real estate. If I went to buy my house now, or let's say apartment in that situation, because there is more floors. So what do you think should I consider to buy a really good place to live? Is there a couple tips that you can give to us?
And one tip is try to look for a house or apartment that is, well, if it's an apartment, try to look for something that is relatively square or rectangular. Some would try to avoid houses or apartments that have missing corners. Like, small missing corners are fine, but not huge, L-shaped, apartments or suites. It's best to avoid apartments that open into, say, an elevator, or say you have a huge electric pylon outside your house. you want to feel calm when you open your door to have something nice to look out at. As well, more windows in different directions are preferred if possible.
Let's say if I want to live or choose any property close to the beach or close to the mountain, which one is better?
It really depends on the distance to the mountain and the distance to the beach. Some say the most favorable sort of formation around your house is if you have a nice gentle mountain behind you, supporting you, and two smaller hills on your left and right, sort of like an armchair formation, kind of like what I'm sitting in an armchair. People feel more grounded, like they're protected when they are surrounded by those features. And then it kind of helps to also with your feng shui. And a bit of an area in front of you, open area called a bright hall, that helps you to gather. Some people will say gather the energy, but whatever you want to say, like it's a nice area. You can look outside, you can feel a sense of expanse before you and a bit of protection behind you.
What are the tools that probably people start buying to get ready for Feng Shui? I mean, if you want to do a consultation, what people have to buy? They have to buy something, or you provide everything? How does that work?
Ideally, they need to know when the house was built, and a house plan would be ideal to have to see if you can get one provided to you. And then I can come and do compass measurement and then look at what are your favorable sectors.
Where we can find you? You have a website, email, how we can contact you?
You can go to my website, audreyfoo.com, or also Facebook page, Audrey Foo Feng Shui, AUDREYFOO, and then Feng, FENG, SHUI, Feng Shui.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for sharing with us those secrets about Feng Shui. We wish you the best luck in this new career.
Thank you, Mark, for talking with me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.